Hello, Maddie here. Thank you for coming back for another video. For those of you that aren't aware, it's summertime. I know, it's crazy. I don't know how we got here. It feels like it was just Christmas. But when I was going through trying to decide what book I wanted to talk about, I was reading through old blogs. And for this book, I specifically recommended it as a good summer read. So I figured now would be the perfect time to talk about it, even though we are now 4 years past the original blog post, which is just crazy that I've been talking about books for that long now. But today we're talking about The Truth About Forever by Sarah Dessen. This is the very first Sarah Dessen book that I have ever read. I've read a lot of her books. I have talked about other books. Actually, I think I've only talked about one other book on my channel. I've written about other books on my blog, but the only other one I talked about was Just Listen, which actually did 2 parts to that one. So you should go check those out. But this is the first ever Sarah Dessen book that I read. I'm pretty sure it was my junior year of high school, which would have been 2010, 2011, somewhere in there, which is crazy. But I read this book, instantly fell in love with it, read it many times since, and Sarah Dessen, like Casey West, is one of my safe authors. Okay, there has to be a caveat to that, which I mentioned in my blog. Sarah Dessen is amazing, wonderful, and in general is a very safe author. She has 2 exceptions to this rule, those 2 books being Dreamland and Once and For All. I've never had a blog where I talk about Dreamland. I do have a blog where I talk about Once and For All, at least a little bit. It was when I was talking about weddings because it was when my little sister was getting married in 2021, 22. What year did she get married? It was 21. She got married in 21. I talked about Once and For All and one other book that I cannot remember off the top of my head, at least. I was talking about weddings, so I was talking about these books. So Sarah Dessen, in general, very safe author with those 2 exceptions. I do one day want to talk about those books because they are not bad books. They are just emotionally trying. So, Sarah Dessen, safe author with a little asterisk, except for Dreamland and Once and For All. But The Truth About Forever is one of my absolute favorites by her. I think I would say Just Listen is my favorite, but this is probably a pretty close second. And this book is about Macy, and she is the perfect daughter. She is, to borrow my mother's phrasing, she's very vanilla. Does as she's told, not a hair is out of place. You know, everything is done a week in advance. She's never late. She never does anything wrong. She's like perfect. It's because she's had some tumultuousness is not the word, or even, I don't even know that it was a word, but she's had some rockiness in her life. And so she is doing everything in her power to just try to regain control and regain that solid footing that she once had. But in the process of trying to regain this footing, she's lost herself. And in her perfectness, she's lost everything that's made her her. And she's only like a junior or something in high school, maybe a senior. And one summer, she is doing SAT prep, working at a library with a super boring boyfriend. He's actually like at camp or something ridiculous. Not ridiculous, but something like super brainy and boring. Not that camp is boring, and not that being brainy is boring, but he himself is brainy and boring, and he is doing something brainy and boring. Anyways, so she has this boyfriend, she has this job, and she's just doing SAT prep, and like that's all she's doing with her summer. And her boyfriend breaks up with her. They go on a break. I don't even remember why, but because he's brainy and boring. She just kind of feels like she's lost her footing a little bit, and on an impulse, she quits her job at the library and joins a catering company called Wish Catering. And she kind of joins them accidentally, and that in of itself is its own story. But through this summer, she gains kind of a second mom who helps her learn more about herself, but also helps her understand her own mother more, because her own mother is also very like on point all the time, always everything at a 90-degree angle sort of thing. And so this woman helps her understand her mom a little bit better, but also understand that there's okay to have variance within your own life. She gains a really great best friend who also shows her that there's just so much more to life. Like there's nothing wrong with, wanting to be prepared and, wanting to do things for your future, but you shouldn't be costing your present for your future. There can be an asterisk in there, but for just the sake of this, we're just going to say not sacrificing your present for your future in terms of like just not experiencing life, not making friends, not living life at all for some arbitrary future. This new best friend just helps her live in the moment. And of course, one, it wouldn't be a Sarah Dessen book without it. Two, it wouldn't be a Maddie recommended, Maddie guaranteed, Maddie approved, Maddie whatever, without a swoon-worthy love interest. His name is Wes, and this is a thing I don't use in conversation nearly as much as I used to, but it's swoon. I don't actually know if it is said that way, but that's how I say it. In the book, it is S-A-W-O-O-N, and that is how her best friend describes Wes. She's like, people see him and they just go, swoon. And I love it because it's more than just like, oh, swoon, or like a wolf whistle or whatever. It's like, no, it's swoon. And I love it. And Wes, of course, more than this, her second mom, more than her best friend, he really shows her what life is about and what it means to love and to care, to nurture, to grow. And they have lots of talks, and he shows her so much. And it's not what I love about his character is he doesn't just like, oh, let's just go do things and whatever. But no, they have like these conversations about making difficult choices in life, about what you put your energy into, about who and what is worth keeping around, and that there are moments that you need to cut ties and be like, I loved you, or we were friends, or whatever, but like we've outgrown each other, or, you stayed stagnant and I've kept growing, and I care about you, but I cannot keep myself where you are. I also can't be dragging you along with me. And that's something I really love about his character, is that he shows her that there are people and relationships worth growing and developing and hanging on to, but there's also, you got to know the moment of when you need to let go and when you need to allow yourself to maybe outgrow somebody or something. So this book, I said, was a good summer read, and I just made it sound like super serious. And it has, these serious topics, but it's really fun. It takes place over the summer. I think it's between her junior and senior year, if I remember correctly. And it's just growing and developing, and it's just her being her age and just enjoying it. And wow, I am now close to double her age, which is just terrifying and ridiculous. It's still a fun read. It is. She's a teenager. She's a high schooler. But it's cute and it's fun. And I love her best friend. And I love the love interest. And I'm trying to remember their names because I make a comment in my blog. Okay, so Wes is the love interest. And he has a brother named Bert. And I say this in my blog, and it's so true that I'm like, I have to mention it. They are 100% Mako and Bolin from Avatar Legend of Korra. Legend of Korra is not great. The Last Airbender, amazing. Korra, not so much. But Mako and Bolin are literally the best part of that show. They're brothers, and it's awesome. And they honestly have like really similar like life circumstances, situations, but their like dynamic is super similar. And it's hilarious and awesome. And I love it. Top tier, 10 out of 10. So it is now the start of summer. It is starting to get warm. We haven't hit 100 yet. And I like, if you're from Texas, you get it. If you're not, you're going to be like, Yeah, we haven't hit 100 yet, which is like crazy for us because it's the end of May. But we haven't, which is just crazy sauce. But it's coming, and it's going to be here, and it won't stop hitting 100 till like October. Yeah, usually sometime around end of September is when it stops hitting 100 regularly. But I hope you have some fun summer plans. I know it looks a lot different when you're an adult versus being a student. Because when you're a student, you just have like 3 months off to do nothing, and it's awesome. Well, I guess some people work. It just kind of depends on the year or whatever, or your life, or so many things. But it's much different as an adult. However, I hope you enjoy warm weather. Hopefully you get a swim and hang out with people you love and just get to enjoy yourself at least a little bit, even if you are still working full time. And I hope you find some really great summer reads. I will be continuing to recommend more books throughout the rest of the summer. Whether I call them summer reads or not, who knows? But I'm sure some of them will be and some of them won't be. But they'll all be cute. They will all be great. They will all be excellent recommendations, if I do say so myself. So, with all of that, I hope you have a great rest of your day. I hope you have a great night, a great week, great weekend, great summer, great month, great year. I hope you have all of the greats because you're truly worthy and deserving of them. So until next time, 再见. Bye.